Hey, what is going on, everyone? It's me, Mr. Mario, and I do want to preface this here by saying that typically I don't really do gaming news dedicated videos or even like rumor mill type things for the most part. And if I do talk about these things, usually I talk about them on one of my two podcasts. However, this was something that I wanted to talk about because not only I found this a little bit funny here, but I had a few things I wanted to say, and I thought, maybe for this it'd be worth making a dedicated video about. That's all to say. I'm probably going to talk about it other times as well too if I have some more input, if more stuff comes out from this. But either way, we're going to be talking about limited run games. Now, I'm going to say this and kind of share my bias right off the bat here, that I'm actually one of those people who I do like limited run games for the most part. Is there some stuff they do that I don't agree with that isn't great? Sure, absolutely. But for the most part, I've been a customer for many, many years. How long have I been a customer? Well, I have their original release. I was there day one. Day one, Breach and Clear for the Vita. This is, does it show it anywhere? Yeah. Limited run #1 right there. This is the first limited run release they ever made, and I think there's only like 2,500 copies of this in circulation, something like that. So even when I heard about the idea of it, I thought it was really cool. I want to check it out. I ended up spending my own money getting this here and several of their original releases, and I've still been buying it years later, although a lot less, but I have made unboxing videos, I've done impression videos, I've done a lot of that stuff. And even some of the games I picked up here, for example, is some of the newer stuff. I think the latest ones I picked up here have actually been, show my website a little bit, Persona 3 and 4 on the Switch. I'm also a game collector as well, too, so this kind of does appeal to, I guess, that caveman part of my brain. But these are the most recent releases that I've picked up from Limited Run. On top of that, got a few others, like there are even some games where if they don't do a great port, such as Blade Runner Enhanced Edition, this one wasn't super great even after the patch, I'm going to be honest, but I still have it. Doom Eternal, I actually still need to fire this up on here, but I got this because some people might be wondering why you get these here. I think this has like the complete game on cartridge, all the DLC and everything. I'm pretty sure it does. So usually Limited Run likes to appeal to those types of collectors and people who kind of want everything in one go. Some of my favorite games as well too get pressing, such as Night in the Woods. Fantastic game if you have not played it. And finally another one which it introduces me to new games that I've picked up. Like Knights and Bikes seemed interesting. Actually had this, didn't open it up for a while. And I'm currently playing this one right now with my girlfriend. She was interested in it. She ended up looking it up and I said, wait, I have this game. And we've been having a lot of fun playing it. If you want something like completely different, that's a pretty good like online or couch co-op game, definitely give Knights and Bikes a try. I don't want to spoil all too much, but I will say that it's a very unique game that I haven't played, and it's actually been a pleasure playing this game. Either way, what are we talking about Limited Run games here for today? Well, we're talking about this because you see in the last few years, Limited Run has actually been not just producing and pressing out games for the PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5, Switch. Now they're doing Xbox, which is pretty cool, but they're also releasing old games on old platforms. I know the Game Boy has been favored. We've seen releases for the N64, which I actually have a video covering because I had looked at it kind of from a critical viewpoint, and I said, I don't know who these releases are for, because while these are official in terms of getting the rights and them being able to legally press them, these aren't originals. These are reproductions, just official reproductions, I guess you can say. And in that term, you're getting less than you would buy like a boxed copy of one of those like Star Wars N64 games on the used market. You're getting less than that just on a reproduction. Well, what I'm saying is I didn't understand it as a collector. I just didn't get that. However, when it comes to this here, this is just kind of, I didn't believe it when I first saw it, but I'm trusting the source on here because he's been a very reputable guy. I'll put up this tweet here because I'm not referring to it by the new name, but I'll put up this tweet here from Todd Gill, otherwise known as Retrofrog, from the shop that he runs, and he ended up getting a 3DO game, which, in case you did not know, Limited Run Games has started pressing 3DO games, which is cool, right? The problem is they're not pressed. It seems to be a CDR. Like, as in, people are paying for this game here. They're wanting to get a limited run, a collector's edition, a repressing of one of these older 3DO games, a rarity as well, too. At least I think it's rare, not 100% sure. Because I'll be honest, I'm not really a 3DO person, just never really appealed to me. So that market, I haven't really looked into all that much. However, the fact of the matter is that this is a survival horror game that has been hailed for quite a while. there are people who do want to play it, who want to legitimately get it. And while this is not an original pressing, this is going to be a nice collector's item that was also going to be playable as well too, for the price of $64.99 US. And people would think, because this has been around for so long, that you would get a pressed disc, right? Limited Run Games has done this as well too. Right off the top of my head, I know that I have bought games from them. I've bought limited editions that had soundtracks, and those soundtracks came on pressed CDs. This is not new technology by any means. Yet the problem is, people are paying $64.99 plus shipping, plus tax, and all that other stuff to get this repressing of D. And while, as I will say, this is the most legal repressing you can do, because the good thing is with limited run games, they're not just grabbing an ISO and popping it onto a disc and selling it to you. No, they are working with the rights holders on this. They are acquiring the rights, so that way they do have the opportunity and they have the legal rights to press and sell this. But that's the problem. They didn't press it. They're just burning this onto CDRs, which absolutely perplexes me, because this is not a small indie company. This is not a small artist. This is not a small development studio. No. And this is a company that has been doing publishing like this for years at this point, and they have worked with compact discs before, and they have pressed them, so I don't understand why they're doing the CDR thing right here. If that wasn't bad enough as well, we have it confirmed for D at least. However, there's also another 3DO game, which is Plumbers Don't Wear Ties, which is available for the low cost of $69 US. Just okay, I get it. They had to use a funny number. Okay, let's move on. I haven't seen anybody test this one out because I haven't seen it out in the wild, but the one release that is out in the wild right now is D, which is a 2-disc game from what I see. And not just Todd, multiple people who have purchased this game and have received it now have confirmed that it is on CDR discs. Now, some people might be wondering, what is the big deal about this? Well, one, when you're paying for a release from this company, and especially at these prices right here, you would not expect a burned CD for a game at all. This is something you're going to expect if you're going to do it yourself in your bedroom or in your office, or you're going to pay someone like $5 down the street in order to burn a CD for you. That's what you would expect, but from a company like this, no. And some people have also compared this to the Dreamcast scene, where there is a lively homebrew scene there, and there's a lot of developers who just release an ISO, or I guess CDI in this case, of their game, or they do sell physical copies of their game, but it is on a CDR. And to that I say, that's excusable there. I have no issue with it if it is a smaller developer, and especially if they disclose that it is just a burned CD, that is totally fine. But when it's going to be coming from a company like this, then that's going to be a bit different. I talked about the disclosure thing right here, and I'm actually going to put up some screenshots of both the listings for D and Plumbers Don't Wear Ties, which I took screenshots of on May 2nd, 2024, so a day after I saw this news, but 2 days before this video is going to be going live. And I'm just clarifying this here because if you look at the details, it says, for example, on the D page, D the game is on a physical disc for the 3DO. This is an open pre-order for a limited time. And there is similar language on the Plumbers Don't Wear Ties page, but again, we haven't confirmed anything for Plumbers Don't Wear Ties. The reason why I say this here is because nothing on the pages shows that this is a burned CD, that this is a CDR. So again, because of the reputation and because of previous experiences with the company, most people would assume, yes, this is not going to be an official original 3DO pressing of the game. This is going to be a third party who's going to be pressing it here, but they do have the legal rights to press it, but they were not expecting that they would just take those legal rights and burn them onto a CD. Not press it, they would just burn it on there. And if you're wondering, you're thinking, okay, why are you making such a big deal about this? At least the game works. No, it doesn't. Why do you all think that this was getting news as well too? Not only this was shocking, but there were many people who were receiving their copies of D, and then they started questioning it because they put this game into their 3DO systems and it wasn't working. Now, some people might be saying, okay, well, it's obvious it's copy protection. That's the deal with this though. The 3DO doesn't have any copy protection. If you have a 3DO game, you could pop it into your computer, you can back up the ISO, burn it to a CDR, and as long as it's burned properly and you have a good laser and everything for your 3DO, it's going to work just fine. just like the Sega CD. But unlike something like the PlayStation, which has more of a robust anti-piracy technique on there with the wobble groove and such, that's going to be the difference on there. So I'm just looking at this like, of course, okay, let's get over it that we're paying for the fancy package right here, but you would at least expect the discs to be pressed, but even if they're not, you would at least expect them to work. And them not working is also a realistic side effect as well, too. Not only the 3DO is old, these older disk drives could have trouble reading CDRs, but as someone who still messes around with optical media and still burns it, from my own personal experience, really when it comes down to burning media in 2024 for these older systems, I've noticed that using good quality media, if you can find it new old stock, is going to be good. Using a older good burner that is going to be able to burn at a slower speed, and the slower you can go, the better it's going to be. That's been my experience. So for all we know, Limited Run Games just has their intern with like the cheapest USB CD burner hooked up to a laptop, grabbing the ISOs, burning them onto cheap CDs at the highest burn speed possible. And at that point, I'm just like, okay, you know what? That explains why they're not working. But this here seems like an absolute ripoff in so many ways, because if you're telling me the discs are burned, then quite literally anyone could have done this. If they just want to invest in the time and the effort, anybody could have made a fancy packaging for this. Anybody could have gotten some blank CDs, gotten a DVD burner or a CD burner or a Blu-ray burner, and grabbed the ISOs and burned them this way. But oh my God, this really blows my mind. I do really want to clarify as well too. I stress the dates on these two listings, but even if the listings do change by the time you might be looking at them, that makes it worse because these two games were up for pre-order and a limited pre-order. So you could order as many copies as you wanted to, but once pre-orders closed, they took those orders, they pressed them, well, not really, they burned them, and then that was it. So that's all to say, if they are showing people who paid money for this one listing, and then after everything has started shipping, they go in and they try to change it and say, oh, this is actually going to be a reproduction disc on a CDR, that's even worse, because you just pulled the rug out from under people. So if anything, I'll just say that it's going to look even more damning if they go and change the product pages after the games have shipped out, not even after they have sold, after they have started shipping. Okay, this seems a little meta as well too, but if you're not familiar with my channel, I also like to show videos showing how to back up your media, how to back up your games, how to get them working, how to modify systems, how to use applications to get these games working. It's something that I've been passionate about for a while. I've always enjoyed doing it, and it's something that I want to share with people so it can hopefully be easier for others. Meanwhile, I will say I do truly show like backup options on there. I don't say go out to this place and download it. I don't advocate for piracy in that regard. And whatever your stance is here on piracy, whether you're for or against it, I'll just say here, this was one of those times where it's like, for collectors, if they want to be legitimate, if they want to get something nice that also worked as well too, this would have been great. But I'm sure at this point, if collectors knew that this was going to be on burned CDRs, one, most of them would not have bought it, and two, at that point, it really would have just been, well, if I'm going to pay someone to take an ISO and burn it to a CDR and put it in a nice packaging, why don't I just do that? At that point, just grab the entire 3DO archive and burn it onto discs and be happy at that point, because clearly you're not going to be able to buy proper reproductions of 3DO games if you're going to buy them and they're just going to be burned onto CDRs like this. That's all to say here, kind of wrapping this up. Even though this is absolutely ridiculous, I do hope that Limited Run does right their wrongs. In my opinion, what they should do, they do need to be clear about this. They should not be selling any reproductions on CDRs at all. There is an expectation that these are going to be officially pressed from a company, that there's going to be some quality control, there's going to be more of a reputation, and they should stick to that, not cheap out on it. For anybody who has bought these games, they should be able to take the games, repress them properly, and they should at least replace them for people, or if people want some kind of partial refund, they should be able to have that option as well too. But I think those two options should be good. I know there's collectors who actually want to open up and play these games, myself included, so for them, actually press CDs of these games and send them out to them for free. That's what should be done. And for people who have a physical copy of the game and for whatever reason, they might want to keep it sealed because there's a lot of sealed collectors out there. I personally don't really understand that, but there are a lot of people who do that. At least give them the option to have a hefty partial refund on this, because they are paying for software that they expect would work on that. So do that, at least. Do something to help right this wrong. And that's all to say, in the future, any releases like this should be on pressed CDs. That should not ever have been a question at all. It really shouldn't have been. It should have just been that simple. But I've been told some valuable advice before, that what should happen and what did happen are two different things. And finally here, a final word that I actually put out on my Twitter, but I'm going to be putting out in this video as well too, to limited run games. If you are looking to hire someone who is in charge of creation and distribution of legacy games such as this for the Sega CD, the 3DO, or even any other game consoles that don't have anti-piracy, anti-copy protection such as this that you can press games for, hey, I'd like to actually apply for that role. I believe I am completely qualified to take that role. I would happily take it if the money is right there, and I'll even show my credentials right here. I have a CD burner, technically a DVD burner, and I got spindles of CDRs. I'm ready to go, all right? I'm ready to go, okay? Like, y'all could have just contacted me and we could have gotten this sorted out. And on top of that as well too, although this is a newer system that does require some modification and all that, look, I got DVD plus R dual layer discs right here. I burned a lot of Xbox 360 games. This has hung up a lot of people, from the media to use, to the burner to use, to the speeds, to patching the firmware, to run other stuff. I've been able to successfully burn Xbox 360 games onto cheap media, onto expensive media, onto a bunch of different burners, internal, external. I've been able to do XGD2, XGD3, all of that. Make sure it's all patched, proper, done right. So that's all to say, I feel like I'm pretty seasoned for this role, and if you needed someone to burn some discs, you could have just contacted me, man. With all that being said, that's about it for this video here. A limited run, do better. But for anybody else, just let me know what your thoughts are on this. Oh boy, yeah, I never, with limited run, I don't hate limited run. I certainly don't love them. I like limited run, I'll say. I don't love them anymore, but can we just do better? Please, that's all I'm going to ask of y'all. Just do better. Remedy this, make sure this doesn't happen again. Because I can guarantee this whole burning action right here burned a whole lot of goodwill in the community just like that. Anyways, that's about it for this video. This is Mr. Mario signing off. Thank you all for watching, everyone. If you enjoyed this video, a like would absolutely be appreciated. If you didn't like it, a dislike is fine as well too. And if you dislike it because you dislike burned 3DO games that you're paying $64.99 or $69 for, that's totally fine, because Lily's been sleeping through this. Like, she doesn't rock with it either. Anyways, this is Mr. Mario signing off real this time. Later, everyone. I get so, yo, my glass house,